whether there's almost like two sides to the business, and some people call this the ambidextrous organization, where we
Yes.
have
Interesting.
the operational side, where there are successes that the business have come across, quite often by chance, and they want to be able to repeat that success, and they want to be able to operationalize it, and they want to have consistency, reduce variability, reduce failure. And that
Mm,
is
mm,
fantastic. That's the cash cow. That's the lifeblood that we're getting revenue. We're satisfying our stakeholders and customers. We need to
yes.
keep the lights on. And the way of operating, the way of managing is quite different to the other side of the businesses, which is a lot more entrepreneurial and even
Yes.
innovative. And
Yeah.
not to say that we're seeking failure, but failure is perceived as a learning opportunity, an
Yeah.
opportunity to know whether we persevere with our current strategy, pivot on our strategy, or pull the plug despite best efforts.
Exactly.
We need to do something else. And the
Absolutely
way
right.
of managing and financing is different on the entrepreneurial side than the
Mm,
operational side. So
mm,
so
mm,
and I think that lots of incumbent organisations become highly operational, but they've
mm,
kind of lost that muscle of
mm.
innovation and
Yeah.
financing that innovation, having that adjustable, flexible
Yes.
funding to support small bets
Yeah.
and exploit bets which are getting good indications from the market.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely, and I think it's almost having a sort of a I think I've read this somewhere that almost a venture capitalist type mindset when you're looking at that half of the business. And as you say,
Mm.
there's a it's that there are two very different ways of thinking in when both that operation and that innovation space. And I think there are I think three thoughts come to my mind on this. The first one is that as a finance person, it's quite easy to say, I need to stay in control of the money or there is no business. Right? If I don't look after the pennies in 2 years' time, whatever, we will be out of business, and that's true. You need to look after, you need to control that, but at the same time, we know today if you don't innovate and grow and change, you're also out of business.
Hmm.
So I think there's that opportunity for finance to straddle both of those. And I think it's hard. I don't think there are many brains that can do that, but we need to figure out ways of doing that. But also think about the idea that when you're running, in order to help this, I think when you're running the business, there is an agile element to that in terms of continuous improvement. So continuous improvement and lean thinking, all of that comes under the agile umbrella. And I think, when you understand that you are actually being agile, or you should be being agile when you're running the business, it then becomes easier to look at the changing side of the business and
Hmm.
look at why you want to be agile there. On the To mitigate the risk, the risk element that comes with, oh my God, you're experimenting. What you understand with agile when it's done properly is that governance is built into it. Risk is very much controlled because you have such short cycles. So if you're working in Scrum, you're doing sprints. Normally it's 2 weeks. So within 2 weeks you will know whether you want to continue. And then you decide, okay, right, let's give it another 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. If at some point you don't like it, what's happening, you stop. And this idea, and this is the one thing that I'd love folks to really understand, which is don't expect to spend all the money. Don't expect to deliver all the features. Don't expect to just keep going because you haven't got to the end of your project or the end of whatever. Once you have enough value or you realize there is no more value to be had, stop. Take that team and now deploy it somewhere else. By the way, I would suggest not breaking that team up and and starting again. Just fund the team rather than the project or the product if you can, because that team now has all the elements to go and hit the ground running on something else.